Hi, Bill Naylor here with another Spreadsheet Madness video. Today I'm going to show you a calculator that I built. The idea behind this was to determine what the retention time would be for an appliance that was capturing network traffic. So this particular company, we had appliances that would connect to a tap or a span port and had multiple inputs and multiple connections, and then they would capture the traffic, and then it became a passive tool for troubleshooting, security, application performance, those sorts of things. So pretty in-depth, typically a data center kind of environment. But one of the things that was always kind of challenging is customers would say, what size do I need? You can see here we had different size storage on these appliances, and the customer would just kind of want to know, how long can I have data, right? So I want to be able to troubleshoot and get through a long weekend or maybe 5 days or whatever it happens to be, right? So the idea behind this is once we knew information about the environment, we could go in and say, well, yeah, okay, you've got 4 10 gig links that we're going to capture here at different location, or at a single location, and they're all running at about 75% utilization, or maybe it's 25 for one and 30 for another, and 10 for another, whatever, right? You could do this, and these are, of course, estimates, right? You have to think about networks don't ever run at a constant rate, or very rarely do you find a network that runs at a constant rate, right? So the idea behind this is just to give them a thumbnail, some idea of how long these things would last. So plugging that information in one of these columns down here, and what happens is for each one of the sizes we calculate and translate it into days, hours, minutes, or hours and minutes, whatever, so that the customer could look at this and say, okay, here's what I need. I need a 192, to get me through 2 days or 4 days or whatever it is. So a couple of things that we did here that were kind of fun. One is you'll notice there are no answers in some of these, right? So the smaller ones in this case are not capable of capturing beyond a certain rate, right? So did a little bit of magic in the formulas there to say if the rate goes beyond that, just don't even show the answer here. Even though in the background we do calculate it, we don't put the answer out there if it's not going to apply, right? So if it's blank, that's not even an option. It's not going to work given the level of traffic that you were looking at. So that's kind of an interesting thing. The other thing we did here is they also had a software version of this that was at smaller sizes, but lots of different variants that they didn't always want to look at. So I made a drop down here where we could just kind of pick and and say based on this information, a 4 terabyte unit would give you about an hour's worth of of information. So pretty interesting stuff. It was a fun thing to do. I added some macros here to make it a little bit easier to configure, so you can clear everything out. You can say everything's at 1 gig or 10 gig. Again, a little bit of magical stuff here where I used the Excel's ability to do conditional formatting to say, if you're looking at 40 or 100 gig, well, these devices could only have 2 ports on there, right? So the rest of the ports don't get counted, and I had them grayed out here automatically if 40 or 100 was checked. So just a way to show a few different things. There's a default thing to start with, and then a few different examples, right? So in this case, you could do like if somebody wanted to do a quote and say, I want to give you a good, better, and best option. All of this information is the same for all three, but you could go down here and say, okay, based on what we know, you could get by with that. So here's what I did is I hid a little, again, conditional formatting, but just by putting a number here in this shaded area where nobody can see it because the font is the same color as the shading, but it lights up so that you can easily point to this and say, here's your good, better, and best scenario, and I've given you a quote for all three, right? So kind of a nice, useful tool for this particular company, and it was great fun to do, and just kind of shows you what's what Excel is capable of when you put your mind to it and put a little work into using some of the tools that it has. Anyway, I hope this was helpful and gave you some good ideas. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.